Alright, everyone, it's finally here. Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy. I just picked this up. It's the night of the release, which means it's very late. I'll be burning the midnight oil. I've got my wake up juice with me, which I'll be sipping on throughout the night. It's okay, because I got nowhere to go in the morning, so I'll be fine. But anyway, this is the collection that includes Ace Attorneys 4, 5, and 6. We have Apollo Ace Attorney the game. We also have Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice. Two games I have not played because both of them were on the Nintendo 3DS, a console I've never owned, so I've just never had the opportunity to play them until now. And you'll also notice that both of them are Phoenix Wright games because, for whatever reason, Capcom has decided to theme the trilogy around Apollo, even though he's the main character of only one of the three. He's in the latter two games, but not that much. Anyway, let's jump into this. This is also the point in time where the Ace Attorney franchise kind of falters a little bit. The stories in this one are not as good as the first three. Turnabout Trump. I promise I will not make the obvious political joke. Yeah, there's a character-breaking inconsistency right at the top of the game, and I'll point it out when we get to it, but it's kind of infuriating. Anyway. Showdown time. You lose. I never lose. Ugh. Eek. Eek. Eek and Ack are the two screams. I never know how to do them because they just sound so unnatural. Who says eek, really? I seem to be in a bit of trouble. Something like that. Dead. Someone hit him. Hard. Me? Please, the cops should be here any minute. I'm in your hands. Should have come to that. April 20th, 9:37 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 3. Panicked. Palms sweaty. I can admit it. I'm nervous. Ah, good morning. Good morning, sir. You look tense, Justice. Wound up tight. Wound up, sir? No, I'm loose. I'm fine. That screeching noise, is that your voice? I suppose it's to be expected. Your first trial and it's a homicide. I guess justice doesn't start small, eh? I'm fine. I got up at 5 a.m. to do my Cords of Steel voice workout. I'm fine. Ah, that explains it. I did detect a certain rasping quality in your screech. I overdid it again. As you know, your client today is a good friend of mine. I wouldn't want to let him down, if you get my drift. Drift gotten, sir. I'm all over that drift. As it happens, I dined with him the night of the murder. We can't let this case fall through. Yes, I'm fine, sir. One more thing. Don't say you're fine quite so much. People might take you the wrong way. I'll be preparing our case. You might want to introduce yourself to the client. My name is Apollo Justice. If it isn't clear already, I'm really nervous. I'm a new attorney. And today is my first trial. Not that I'm worried or anything. The defendant has been accused of murder. My boss wants to help him out, of course. And so do I. There's no way he did it. Not him. No way. The pin on his cap looks like Mr. Bill. Oh, no! Kids, ask your parents who Mr. Bill is. I assure you it's very, very funny. Whoa. Is that Mr. Bell? Good morning. Morning. It's all up to you today. First trial. Nervous. Beating him. Cardiac arrest. I think I'm supposed to say something. Help. So you're... Fine, I'm fine. Mr. Fine, is it? Mr. Larry Fine? I did remember you having an odd name. Well, we're off to a great start. Are you sure you're okay? I mean, with me? Mr. Gavin is a top-notch defense attorney. And he's your friend, so why... You'll see. You can do it. Be confident. I'm really sorry this happened to you. It's time. Shall we? Yes, sir. I'm fine, sir. Fine. Totally fine. Fine as fine can be. Fine and dandy. Okay, I need to focus. First trial. Here comes justice. Oh, God, that was so lame. I should be ashamed of myself for saying that. April 20th, 10 a.m., District Court, Courtroom Number 2. Rubble, 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 rubble. Clack. The court is now in session. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is, fine. Ready, Your Honor. Mind going blank. Don't panic. Eck, too late. Your name was Mr. Justice? And this is your first trial? Yes, Your Honor, but I'm fine, really. Are you quite sure, Mr. Fine? Your voice sounds a bit strained. Ahem, Mr. Gavin. Yes, Your Honor. I was under the impression that you would be heading up this case. That was my intention, yes. However, a defense attorney must always cede to his client's wishes. And my client specifically requested Mr. Justice. Well, of course he wants justice. But we're talking about Mr. Fine here. To entrust his case to this greenhorn, why? I do not exaggerate when I say that you're the best defense attorney in town, Mr. Gavin. Okay, so Gavin's got trial experience, fine. But does he have cords of steel? Click. Then let's begin. The defendant may enter the courtroom. Oh no! This is truly an unfortunate turn of events. I'm sorry we had to meet again under these circumstances. Long time no see, Mr. Wright. What? Like I said, I played this before, so I knew that spoiler in advance. Let's put the past behind us, shall we? These days, I'm merely Phoenix Wright, piano player. Mr. Wright, how could this have happened? I won't speak of it further, then. If the prosecution would be so kind as to explain the charges, Mr. Payne. To think, I saw you enter this room a fresh attorney, and now I'll see you leave in chains. Ah, Winston Payne. Subtle as ever, I see. Ahem. The crime occurred at the Borscht Bowl Club, a Russian restaurant. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, took the victim, a customer, and he hit him, wham, on the head, smack, killed him cold. A customer at the restaurant, you say? And the defendant, you say he was... A pianist for the club, it seems. Phoenix Wright? A pianist? Hey, watch what you call me. This is the weapon that took the victim's life. A bottle of grape juice. Grape juice is apparently our defendant's drink of choice. Right. This is totally grape juice. I totally believe you. Wink, wink. The court accepts the deadly bottle as evidence. Deadly bottle added to the court record. Grape juice bottle used as the murder weapon. Bears the defendant, Mr. Wright's, fingerprints. Something to note, Justice. All evidence is filed in the court record. Make a practice of checking it frequently. The court record? Right. I've heard of that. Use RB to check the evidence so far. Oh, we finally acknowledged the correct button assignment. It's nice to nice to be playing a game that actually acknowledges that I'm using a controller and not the keyboard. I'm confident in your ability to handle this. Right, just use RB. Sounds like it's time for some hands-on action. By the way, Chief, why are we talking as if we're holding a game controller? Why are we breaking the fourth wall like this? So the victim was a customer at the restaurant. But just who was this, Shady Smith fellow? We believe he was a traveler, Your Honor. A traveler? A vagabond? A wanderer? Call him what you will? According to the passport, his passport, he had been out of the country for a number of years. He had only returned to this country recently, though his place of residence is unclear. And he has some sort of connection with the defendant? That too is unclear at present, Your Honor. We believe they first met at the Borscht Ball Club on the night of the crime. If they had only just met, then why murder? Perhaps the victim slighted the defendant's piano playing. That doesn't appear to have been the case. No, the motive had nothing to do with the defendant's lack of playing skill. At least not piano playing. I'll let the photo explain what I mean. As we can see, a game of poker was in progress at the scene of the crime. Wait a second. Isn't poker gambling? That's a crime in and of itself. Rubble, 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 rubble. Indeed, it appears our defendant has fallen to become the basest sort of criminal. Objection. It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim. Yet it was only that, a game, in the purest sense. A competition, Your Honor. A competition? Yes, a test of wits. A silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome. Come again? The cards on the table had blue backs, Your Honor. I believe the defense was waxing poetic in an attempt to mystify those present. And impress women. I'm impressed. That will be our first order of business here. No impressing women in my courtroom. We need to find out more about this fatal card game. Heck. Very well, defendant. You will testify to the court about the poker competition held the night of the crime. My pleasure. This is it. My first trial. Here goes nothing. Witness testimony. The competition. I'm a pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. My real job is to take on interested customers over at the poker table. The room where we play and the competition in there are the club's main attractions. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. That's all it is, a game. And our customers are happy. A pianist who can't play piano? Better than a defense attorney who can't defend. Very well, the defense may begin the cross-examination. Right, Your Honor. My first cross-examination. Don't blow it. Are you all right? You're sweating bullets. Bullets? Where? It's a figure of speech, Justice. Your voice sounds strained and raspy, too. My brain feels strained and raspy, sir. You've watched me perform cross-examinations many times, though you've never done one yourself, have you? Care for a refresher? What do I do? Should I ask Mr. Gavin for a refresher course? In cross-examination? No, I don't think that's necessary. We just played 3 games in a row that all have the same rules, so I don't think we'll need a refresher at all. No need for help here, sir. I think I've got this one covered. I think you'd better do more than think. You know it, or you don't, or you do not. I'm fine. The cords of steel are ready for battle. My weapons, press and present. Find any inconsistencies, any lies in the testimony, and reveal them to the court. That is cross-examination. Learn it, know it, do it. Inconsistencies, lies. Phoenix Wright? As if Phoenix Wright would never lie, and it's up to me to prove it. Oh, silly Apollo. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Here we go. The competition. A pianist by trade, yet I can hardly play at all. What the... Oh, the buttons are all moved around. This is going to take some getting used to. Maybe I should go into the options and fix that during the first break. You can hardly play. Oh, I play sometimes when customers demand it. So I play them one song. That's usually all they want. Was that supposed to be a boast just now? The title of pianist is a mask. A respectable face I wear for the world at large. Then why are you really at the Borscht Bowl? My job is to take on interesting customers over at the poker table. Hold it. They pay you just to play poker? That would seem to be the case. I am a professional, after all. Bah, do I detect pride in that statement? It's just hard for an honest, hard-working member of society like me to imagine. Yes. Your imagination was always a bit limited, Winston. What? I've played poker for 7 years in that little room, and I've never lost once. What? You see why the customers come now? Defeat the undefeated poker champion. It's quite a draw. That is, I'm quite a draw. Wait, you've never lost once? Not even one time? As I said, I'm a professional. He's played poker for 7 years and not lost once. Is that even possible? Yes, with cheating. The room where we play and the competition in there are the club's main attractions. Hold it! The room in the crime scene photo is an attraction? It has quite a history, actually. The Borscht Bowl Club used to be a gathering spot for black market types back in the day. But black market? All in the past. Things like the black market are only on the silver screen nowadays. Suffice to say that there were a lot of deals being made under the table. Right there in that room. A smoky room. Gambling hoods, you know. Just looking at this picture makes me feel bad. The bosses gather around the table, cutting deals, safe from the eyes of the law. Meanwhile, a goon keeps watch through the small window. I can practically picture it now. That window looks like it would be good for keeping a lookout for little else. Would be good for keeping a lookout, but little else. The room had a few other tricks to it, though it was common knowledge to the regulars. At any rate, they come to play poker in a room steeped in history. Despite the dark past, it was all just good, clean fun. The rules are simple. We play a game of poker using 2 decks of cards. Hold it! 2 decks of cards? A simple measure to prevent cheating. If you alternate 2 decks, no one can slip in cards. There's something else I noticed. In addition to the cards on the table, there are some lying scattered on the floor. Precisely. Cards on the table, cards upon the floor. Each one forming a complete deck. A crime scene painted blue by a sad sweep of cards. It's poetic, really. Incidentally, we used 2 types of cards at the club. One deck of cards was red, the other blue. I As I recall, in poker you make 5-card hands. I can see how it would be easy to cheat. Yeah, a game of hands. Clack. This competition you're talking about. I believe the court understands the nature of the game sufficiently. That's right. It was a simple game after all. Are you sure? Huh? People are not murdered over simple games, Mr. Justice. Defendant, you were in the room the very moment the crime occurred. Yet you claim no connection to the crime. Now that's strange. What's strange? I was testifying about the competition that night. Asking me about the crime at this point is against the rules, Your Honor. Of course, I expected to hear a cry of objection from the defense. Eck. I completely let that one slip by. Don't despair yet, Justice. Sir? Right? There's something I'd like made clear. Namely, your connection to the case at hand, and I'd like to hear it from you. Sure, why not? Clack. Very well, the defendant will amend his testimony. Just one little press, and I've got myself a whole new testimony. I plead silence regarding the murder, but I will say I never touched the murder weapon. You know what I forgot to do is look at what's in the evidence. Okay, so time of death 2 a.m., April 17th, death caused by a single blow to the forehead. The sub-basement. Okay, let's look at the photo. Okay. Alright. So the 3D gimmick is back. Let's have a look around. The bottle is completely empty. Grape juice. How long has it been since I drank grape juice? Apparently it's Mr. Wright's favorite drink. I wonder how well it goes with borscht. Okay, is that everything? Okay, I guess that's it. Alright, back to the cross-examination. Sorry about that, Phoenix. I plead silence regarding the murder, but I will say I never touched the murder weapon. Hold it! Silence? The defendant has the right to refuse to testify. I haven't forgotten everything about the law. But why? That clearly puts you at a disadvantage. And it's your job to turn that around in our favor, yes? Great. Like I didn't have enough to do already. Justice, didn't you detect anything odd about that testimony? Huh? Wait, something he said did ring a little strangely. Just one thing. Now, what was it? When you figure it out, I'd suggest presenting evidence. Evidence that contradicts the testimony. A contradiction in Mr. Wright's testimony? But why? I'd better check the court record. I can't imagine Mr. Wright lying in a testimony. Isn't it a little early to be jumping to conclusions? This is your first cross-examination. Take it slow. If you need more information, don't forget to press. Right, I got it. I'm fine. Time to listen to that testimony again. Alright, penis by trade. I can hardly play at all. That's a contradiction. Real job is to take on interested customer at the poker table. When we play in the competition, all company attractions. The rules are simple. We play again poker. I plead silence regarding the murder. I never touched the murder. Oh! Bears to defendant Mr. Wright's prints. Objection. Ah, got an achievement for that. So you say you didn't touch the murder weapon, this grape juice bottle. Right. So I said. Something the matter, Mr. Justice? Too bad our new defense attorney never learned how to play dumb. What's this, Mr. Payne? I examined the bottle in question, you see, and it was covered with the defendant's fingerprints. Rubble, 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 rubble. Objection! No need to shout, Mr. Justice. I can hear you just fine. Excess yelling can damage the judge's ears and our case. But what about my cords of steel? And anyway, what's so strange about fingerprints on a bottle in a restaurant? Well, that's true. The prints alone don't... Oh, they wouldn't prove a thing if they were normal fingerprints. Huh? But the fingerprints on the murder weapon were upside down. Upside down? What does that mean? Because he was holding it like a club, so the fingerprints would be the opposite of what you would expect. It means he was holding the bottle inverted, and there can only be one reason for that. Indeed. Yes. To brain someone with the bottle. Rubble, rubble, rubble. Mr. Gavin, I think things just took a turn for the worse. Oh? I see no problem, Justice. Huh? The only thing that matters is the truth. There's a good reason for everything. There's a good reason for everything. You'll see. Defendant, can you explain your fingerprints on this bottle to the court? I stand by my plea of silence regarding the murder. For now... Oh, I stand by my plea for now. I always think that he might be like going on to like another statement. So I said it like it was a preposition or something. Not very cooperative, are you? This could hurt your case. I'm sure he's uncooperative because he's hiding something. There must be some reason. Objection. Your Honor, you seem to have forgotten something. And what might that be, Mr. Gavin? On the night of the crime, who was it who reported the murder to the police? Reported? Well, that was the defendant, Mr. Wright, but still that... Really? Yes. Well, according to the case file, the murder was reported from near the scene by a call from the defendant's cell phone. Near the scene? Let's take a look at the diagram of the murder scene, shall we? The victim was murdered in a small room in a basement 2 floors down from the... Start over. The victim was murdered in a small room in a basement 2 floors down from ground level. Of course, cell phones can't get reception so far down. The defendant used the stairs to get... the defendant used the stairs in the hallway to go above ground. I'm losing his voice. The call came from the first floor of the restaurant. I see. And this is the phone that made the call? Wright's cell phone added to the court record. The defendant could have just fled the scene of the crime if he so chose. Yet he fulfilled his duty as a citizen and reported it to the authorities. And you claimed he is being uncooperative? Nice save, Mr. Gavin. I'd better not waste this. I think the prosecution has toyed with our client enough for the time being. Toyed? I assure you, no one is more serious about... What was it you said? The defendant was in the room the very moment that the crime occurred? How can you possibly know this? That's a good question. How indeed? The answer is simple, Your Honor. The prosecution has a decisive witness. You're as good as they say you are. So someone else was in the room the night of the crime. That must mean they witnessed the crime. Everything up till now has been a warm-up, Justice. Are you ready? Are you ready? Clack. Very well, the prosecution may call its first witness to the stand. The witness will state her name and profession. Hold on just a moment. Where's the witness? I surmise that she has been frightened by the defense's demonic-looking horns. So I used a little hair gel. Relax, people. Have no fear. If any horns point in your direction, this court will cut them off. You are sure? I swear it on my gavel. Please, come out. Isn't violence against hair a crime, Your Honor? Well, if you are sure, it is okay. If I remember right, she has a Russian accent. Ahem. Now, the prosecution... Well, wait a minute. Would the prosecution care to explain the witness's paraphernalia? Yes. She is a professional, Your Honor. Those are merely the tools of her trade. And that would be... My name is Olga Orly. I am employed as waitress in the Borscht Bowl restaurant. Then why the camera? You can't have that in here. Of course, it is my pride to serve borscht that is naming restaurant. But I also perform, how is it said, other services. Really? I take it one of these other services is taking the customer's picture. Da. Like, for example, this one. That's the defendant. Indeed, on the night of the murder. Man in white hat is one who has gone kaput. Indeed, that is the victim. Rubble, rubble, clack, clack, clack. Order, order! This is quite a piece of evidence to casually drop into our laps. It is same way as I drop cold bowls of borscht on laps of customers, casually. Then the court will casually accept this new evidence. Olga's photo added to court record. Now, witness, where were you at the time of the murder? I was in the room. Hideout, we call it. Excuse me? The hideout? It is room where famous gangster bad guy was arrested. It is room where murder took place. What? Nani? You look of utter surprise. It is lovely. I will post by courtroom door later for you. Photos will be numbered, and you will write which ones you want a copy of. So there were 3 people in the room at the time of the crime. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and Olga Orly, our witness. And if Mr. Wright isn't the killer, that means... Clack! Very well, witness. You will testify to the court about the night's events. That fateful night. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for game. It was cold. Both players played with hats on. The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on locket at his neck. Then last hand is done, but something terribly... Oh my god, I'm starting to lose it here. But something terrible has happened. That man flew at victim and is strangling him to death. Incidentally, who won the game? Isn't it obvious the winner was the victim, Mr. Smith? Objection? Mr. Wright would never lose. That's ridiculous because Mr. Wright can't lose. Justice. Maybe you can come up with a more legitimate objection. But he hadn't lost in 7 years. Take it from me, kid. It happens. I didn't lose a case my first 7 years as prosecutor either. Incidentally, I have some evidence here. These are the poker chips as they lay at the very moment of the crime. The hand of chips on this side belong to the defendant, Mr. Wright. Those on the far side belong to the victim, Mr. Smith. Chips? Chips, you say? I mean, yes. Imagine the poker's war. I'm really starting to lose the prosecutor's voice for some reason. Gotta think Paul Lind. Okay. Your hand is your army, and the chips are the spoils. I know that. After all, in my youth, he just blew past. Oh wait, I think I can actually check history now. What did he say? I know that. After all, in my youth, I was known as the poker head of courtroom number 3. I think he means poker face. Yes, I poked her face. Looking at this picture, it does seem that most of the chips are on the victim's side of the table. Chip's photo added to the court record. Very well, the defense may cross-examine the witness. Actually, I'm going to take... Oh, I can't right now. I was going to take a look at the evidence, but... That night, the customer asked me to deal cards for a game. Actually, I can look at it now. Let's look at the cell phone. No clues here. What do we have here? Wow, that battery is being held in with a piece of tape. He should just buy a new one. Maybe he can't afford it. Or he just doesn't care. Is that really it? Yeah, I guess that's it. Okay. Take a look at this. Nothing we can do here. There's a crate of bottles there at the bottom of the picture. I believe that comes in later because it's literally the only way he could lift the bottle out of the crate. Or the more natural way to lift the bottle out of the crate is by picking it up with the hand inverted like they showed earlier. So that will that'll be a solution to that piece of the puzzle. Now, if I also remember correctly, it looks like the other side of the table is the winner, but actually the red chips are worth way more, so it'll actually turn out that no, Phoenix's side is the winning side. I know I'm spoiling the game, but I have played this before. Okay. Hold it! You were dealing cards. Do you do this often? I am doing this. If customer wishes, I serve anything. Borscht, cards, more borscht. It is my work. It's good to hear of a place that hasn't forgotten the meaning of service. Welcome you to Borscht Bull Club, where borscht is as warm as the waitresses. Thank you for not handing out flyers during the cross-examination. It was cold. Both players played with hats on. Hold it. It's already April. How could it be cold? At the Borscht Bull Club, we have pride on authentic rustic Russian restaurant theme. Plus, they're in the basement, so it would be cold. Outside in the city in spring, but inside... Outside is the city in spring, but inside it is always as cold as Mother Russia. No way am I going there. When it comes to hot borscht, cold is best seasoning, The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on locket at his neck. His locket? I believe it was good luck charm, da. He gripped it so many times as he played that night. Yes, he must have felt as though it might carry him to the moon and the stars. Though if it were small enough to fit around his neck, it wouldn't have much lift. The defense would like a clarification. This is a locket we're talking about. I mean, a pendant with a picture in it, right? Not a rocket. Locket, rocket. You know, this is a Japanese game, so they'll screw that up. Of course, I knew that. It was probably a pendant shaped like a rocket. That's why she called it that. No, a locket's a locket. It doesn't. It's considered bad form to poke fun at the hard of hearing in our society. Justice. Hard of hearing or hard of understanding? So, what happened next? Then, last hand is done, but something terrible has happened. Da. Hold it. Something terrible? Eek! The defense will refrain from needlessly shouting. Sorry. I need to seriously reconsider this vocal training thing. Now, Miss Orley, can you tell us what happened next? Oh, I was so frightened, I trembled with fear. That man flew at victim and is strangling him to death. Hold it. But the defendant would never do such a thing. Eek! Well, now, I can't say I've ever heard the defense try this tactic. If possible, please refrain from embarrassing me. Still, why would anyone do something like this over a game of poker? Perhaps it is because defendant has lost game, yeah. Yes, a crushing defeat for a man undefeated. So it always is with men like him. Winners make sore losers. Oh, how the mighty fall. Go ahead. I believe you know what it is you need to do. Right, sir. Leave it to me. There were only 3 people in the room at the time of the murder. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and... if Mr. Wright isn't the killer... Got you now, Orley? Oh, we're back at the beginning. Okay. Now, take another look at the evidence here. Both players played with hats on. Okay. The victim, he plays whole time with his hand on locket at his neck. Okay, he does have the locket. And last hand is done, but something terrible has happened. The man flew at the victim. Wait a minute. A death, single blow to the forehead. Okay. Oh, shit. Forgot that was the last thing. But that is the one. Okay. Oh, really? Strangled, you say? That's odd. Normal customers only choke on borscht. No, I mean, this report shows that the victim died of a blow to the head. Heck! Miss Orley, really now? Did you witness the crime? Eek! Rubble, 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 rubble. Clack, clack, clack. Looking at the picture, it doesn't seem like he was hit. He's still wearing his hat and everything. Yet, it is a fact that he was hit, Your Honor. Here's a photo we took of the victim with his hat off during our investigation. Well, that's quite shocking, isn't it? This head certainly was hit. Crime photo 2 added to the court record. But, I have seen it happen. The defendant, he lunged at victim, his neck. Oh, really, Miss Orley? I think I've caught you in your own lie this... I think I've caught you in your own lie this time. Justice. I admire your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should think this through once more. What do you mean? I found a contradiction. It's a contradiction. There's one thing in her testimony that troubles me. Very well. It seems we should continue the cross-examination. There's such a thing as thinking too much. This horse is dead. Let's stop beating it. There's such a thing as thinking out loud too much, too. Hey, don't read my blue text. That night, customer asked me to deal cards for game. Wait, we're back at the... But... Oh, come on. Okay, let's look at the evidence again. Grape juice bottle used as the murder weapon. Mr. Wright's prints on are upside down. It was cold. Both players played with hats on. Customer asked me to deal cards for game. How irritating. And it's done. Something terrible has happened. Right. Oh, I see. Objection. Oh no! Your Honor, that statement contradicts this evidence. God damn it. It does? I don't see any contradictory... You sure about that? Objection overruled. Try to think before you make accusations, Mr. Justice. Eck. That didn't go so well. Okay. It was cold. Both players played with hats on. Duh. Okay, let's take another look at this. Okay, so that's a new piece of evidence that we just got. And with his hands on his lock. It's not there. Yes! You know, there was one curious part in her testimony. There was one curious part in her testimony, just like Mr. Gavin said. But what does it mean? Mr. Justice, would you care to explain what it is you're thinking so intensely about? Recall the testimony, Your Honor. The victim played with his hand on his locket at his neck. I believe she said, I hope you aren't about to raise an objection to the witness's grammar. No, but look at this photograph. Shut up. Do you see a locket on the victim's neck? Well done, Justice. I'm impressed. I knew you'd be able to handle this. But what does it mean? If we are to believe this witness's testimony as is, then the locket disappeared following the victim's death. Lockets don't just disappear, Your Honor. It's quite simple when you think about it. If the locket is gone, someone must have taken it off. No? Taken it off. Wait, you don't mean the defendant wasn't strangling the victim at all. He was taking his locket. Wouldn't that explain it? Ah! Irk. Rubble, 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 rubble. Clack. The defendant? What do you have to say to this? Say. Yes? I just noticed this, but you have something hanging around your neck, don't you? Oh, he does. Oh? You mean this? Yes, it's a locket with a photograph inside. A photo of my daughter. Yeah, he has a daughter in this. Where did that come from? You'll find out. Come again? Mr. Wright, you have a daughter? We confirmed it at the time of the arrest. The picture in the locket is indeed Mr. Wright's daughter. So Mr. Wright has a locket too. Why don't I buy that? This is just a coincidence. Well now, if the results of this poker game led to the murder, perhaps we should hear a bit more about the outcome of the game. Further testimony won't really be necessary. It's clear the defendant lost badly. Miss Orley, you will testify to the court about the game played between the victim and the defendant. Duh. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first break, and we'll be back in just... Oh, look at the fancy new save system. It's kind of boring, actually. But we'll save our game, and don't you go nowhere. I shall return.